Hello everyone. Let's talk about Shelley's poem, Ode to the West Wind. Ode to the West Wind, 1819. Percy Bysshe Shelley, 1792-1822. The poem was written in 1819 by Percy Bysshe Shelley, one of the leading Romantic poets. The poem reflects the political unrest in Europe, especially after the Napoleonic Wars and the repressive policies of the British government. The poem was inspired by Shelley's radical political views, advocating for freedom, democracy, and a revolution. The social climate was turbulent, with the Peterloo Massacre 1819 being a key event that influenced the Shelley's revolutionary thoughts. An ode is a type of lyric poem, a musical poem that expresses the speaker's emotions about a person, place, object, or idea. Odes are often formal, and they are known for being serious and reflective. Odes are often written in first-person point of view. Themes in the poem: power of nature, change and revolution, death and rebirth, poets' role in society. Power of nature. The west wind is a mighty force that can destroy and create, symbolizing both a destruction and a renewal. Change and a revolution. The wind serves as a metaphor for political and social change, reflecting Shelley's hope for a new era of freedom. Death and rebirth. The autumn wind destroys the old to make way for the new, mirroring the cycle of life. Poet's role in society. Shelley sees himself as a prophet or reformer, using poetry to inspire transformation. Literary devices used in the poem include personification. That is, the west wind is treated as a powerful, almost a god-like force. For example, thou breath of autumn being. Apostrophe. Shelley directly addresses the wind, making the poem passionate and intense. Alliteration. Repetition of consonant sound enhances the musical quality. For example, wild west wind. Simile and metaphor. The wind is compared to a magician, a chariot, and even a trumpet of prophecy. Terza rima. The poem follows a complex rhyme scheme: ABA, BCB, CDC, DCD, EE, giving it a flowing, connected structure. Setting of the poem. The setting is mainly nature, focusing on the power of the west wind in the sky, land, and sea. The poem moves through different elements, beginning with the autumn leaves, shifting to stormy skies, and then to ocean waves, and finally to the poet's own soul. Structure and division. The poem consists of 5 cantos or sections, each made up of 4 tercets, that is 3-line stanzas, and a concluding couplet, that is a pair of rhyming lines. The first canto: the wind blows through the earth, scattering dead leaves and spreading seeds. In the second canto, the wind moves through the sky, bringing thunderstorms and destruction. In the third canto, the wind stirs the ocean, creating turbulence and change. In a fourth canto, Shelley compares himself to the wind, wishing it would carry his ideas to the world. In the fifth canto, a hopeful conclusion, asking the wind to spread his message like a prophetic trumpet. Message of the poem. The poem conveys the idea that destruction is necessary for renewal, just as the wind clears away the old. Political and social revolution is needed for a better future. Shelley sees the poet as a voice of change, hoping that his words will spark transformation. The final line, "If winter comes, can spring be far behind," is a message of hope and a rebirth, suggesting that even in dark times, better days will come. Short summary of the poem. Canto first. The west wind's power over the earth, leaves and seeds. The poem begins by addressing the west wind as a wild, powerful force of nature. Shelley describes how the wind sweeps away dead autumn leaves like a ghost fleeing from an enchanter. This imagery represents the wind as a harbinger of death, clearing away the old to make way for the new. However, the wind also scatters seeds beneath the earth, which will bloom when spring arrives, symbolizing renewal and rebirth. The poet thus establishes the dual role of the wind. It both destroys and creates, acting as a force of change and transformation in nature. Canto second. The west wind's influence on the sky, clouds and storms. The second canto shifts the focus to the sky, where a west wind moves storm clouds across the heavens. The poet compares these clouds to angels of rain and lightning, bringing thunder and change to the world. The wind acts as a messenger of revolution, stirring up tempests that cleanse the earth. The imagery of a coming storm reflects both the natural chaos and a political upheaval, suggesting that destruction is necessary for renewal. The sky's turbulence also mirrors Shelley's own passionate and restless soul, yearning for transformation. Canto 3. The west wind's influence on the sea, that is waves and depths. In this canto, Shelley describes how the west wind awakens the Mediterranean and Atlantic Ocean. The once calm waters now tremble under the force of the wind, causing waves to rise and shake the deep sea. The poet describes underwater plants that grow grey with fear, suggesting that even the strongest natural elements must yield to the wind's force. This represents the idea that no power, whether natural, human or political, can resist change forever. Shelley uses this image to symbolize the unstoppable nature of revolution, both in the physical world and in human society. Canto 4. The poet's personal plea to the wind. This canto marks a shift from nature to the poet's own emotions. Shelley, feeling weakened and oppressed, wishes that he could be carried by the wind like a leaf, cloud or wave. He laments that in his youth he was free and powerful like the wind, but now he feels burdened by life's struggles. He begs the wind to lift him up and make him its instrument, allowing him to regain his former strength and creative energy. This is a deeply personal moment, where a poet expresses his desire to overcome his struggles and he rejuvenated by the force of change. Canto 5. The wind as a prophetic voice of change. In a final canto, Shelley sees the wind as a metaphor for his own poetry. He implores the wind to scatter his words like dead leaves, spreading his message across the world. He wishes for his poetry to inspire change and awaken people, just as the wind awakens nature. The poem ends with the famous line, "If winter comes, can spring be far behind?" This closing statement is one of hope and renewal. It suggests that just as winter eventually gives way to spring, dark times in life or society will inevitably lead to a brighter future. The poet envisions himself as a prophet of revolution, using his poetry to bring a change, much like the wind transforms nature. Now let's analyze the main lines from the poem. The first one, O wild west wind, do breath of autumn bane. This line opens the poem, directly addressing the west wind as a wild and powerful force. Shelley describes it as the breath of autumn being, suggesting that the wind is responsible for the seasonal change, carrying away the dead leaves and making way for new life. The word wild emphasizes its uncontrollable and untamed nature, reinforcing the idea that the wind represents a disruptive but a necessary force of transformation. The poet sees this energy as something he wishes to harness for both a poetic and a political renewal. Next one. Though from whose unseen presence the leaves there are driven like a ghost from an enchanter fleeing. Here Shelley compares the dead leaves to ghosts fleeing in fear from a magician. The west wind acts like an enchanter, casting a spell over nature and commanding the seasons. The image of death and decay reflects the poet's idea that destruction is necessary for new beginnings. Just as all the leaves must fall so that new ones can grow. The simile suggests that the wind is both a force of purification and a renewal, much like political revolutions or poetic inspiration. The next line, though on whose stream, mid the steep sky's commotion, loose clouds like earth's decaying leaves are shed. In this line, the west wind is described as carrying clouds across the sky, just as it carries dead leaves on the ground. The clouds are compared to decaying leaves, reinforcing the idea that change and destruction occur not only on land, but also in the sky. The phrase, steep skies commotion, highlights the turbulent and violent movement of the wind, suggesting stormy weather. This imagery reflects the poet's belief that chaos and turmoil are often necessary precursors to transformation and renewal. The next line, the blue Mediterranean, where he lay, lulled by the coil of his crystalline streams. In this section, Shelley describes the Mediterranean Sea lying calm and peaceful as though in a deep sleep. The use of personification makes the sea seem like a living entity resting before being stirred by the wind. The crystalline streams refers to the pure and clear waters of the sea, emphasizing beauty and tranquility. This contrast between calmness and the violent motion of the wind reflects the idea that even a most peaceful force of nature, and by extension human societies, must eventually awaken and change. Next line. Oh, lift me as a wave, a leaf, a cloud. I fall upon the thorns of life, I bleed. This is a deeply personal plea for Shelley to the west wind, asking it to carry him like a wave, a leaf, or a cloud. The poet, feeling weakened and burdened by life, wishes to be lifted and inspired by the wind's power. The phrase, I fall upon the thorns of life, I bleed, expresses his suffering and despair, using vivid imagery to highlight his emotional pain. Shelley sees the west wind as a symbol of hope and a revival, longing for it to free him from his struggles and rekindle his creative spirit. Next line. Drive my dead thoughts over the universe like withered leaves to kick in a new bud. In these lines, Shelley compares his thoughts and poetry to dead leaves, asking the west wind to spread them across the world. He believes that just as digging leaves fertilize the soil for new plants, his words, though emerging from struggle and suffering, can inspire new ideas and revolutions. The phrase, quicken a new birth, suggests intellectual and political renewal, showing Shelley's desire to be a force of change. The wind becomes a symbol for the power of poetry, capable of awakening people to new possibilities. Next line. Scatter as from an unextinguished hearth, ashes and sparks, my words among mankind. Here Shelley envisions his words as sparks and ashes from an unextinguished fire, ready to ignite minds and inspire action. The image of fire suggests that his poetic energy and revolutionary ideas have not been extinguished, even if they seem buried. By scattering his words like embers, he hopes they will set off a chain reaction of inspiration and change. This metaphor reinforces the poet's belief in the transformative power of poetry and thought. The last quote. If winter comes, can spring be far behind? This is perhaps the most famous and hopeful line of the poem. Shelley suggests that winter, a time of death, hardship and struggle, is always followed by spring, a time of rebirth and hope. The statement is both philosophical and political, implying that even in the darkest time, renewal and progress are inevitable. The final line serves as a message of hope, reassuring readers that change is always around the corner and better days will come.